Last year, the Biden administration allowed our investigators to look at portions of the file. We did that at the Treasury building. Here is what it says. Treasury's Epstein file details, Mr. President, 4,725 wire transfers. Let me repeat that. 4,725 wire transfers, adding up to nearly $1.1 billion flowing in and out of just one of Mr. Epstein's bank accounts. If you ask me, that is more than 4,000 potential lines of investigation right there. Hundreds of millions more flowed through other accounts. That's even a lot more to investigate. The file shows that Mr. Epstein used multiple Russian banks, which are now under sanctions, to process payments related to sex trafficking.
We come from the fire, living in the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around.
We come from the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around.
We come from the fire, living in the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water, go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water, go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water, go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain, go back to the mountain, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain, go back to the mountain, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain, go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, oh, so is life.
Ah, so is life.
Oh, oh, so is life.
Ah, so is life.
Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who I am? See we one another clearly. Do we know who you are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are?
Oh, so is life, Abatiwa. So is life. Whoa, so is life, Abatiwa. So is life.
Yeah,
Hey, yeah. Welcome everybody
a little.
to Rad Pod and yes, high
There's a
five.
little Harry
Yeah.
Belafonte
What were you
and the
saying?
Muppets.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm Heidi Kuda. This is Rad Pod and Not So Chill. Although that music was so beautiful, I feel a little chill, even though you were weaving together some incredibly important and horrifying topics. Anybody who watched our early days with Jeff Charlotte, and anybody who's read his book, The Undertow, will know that Harry Belafonte was a real one, a real activist, somebody who spent a lot of money trying to do good in this world and give people a leg up and push along civil rights. So I'm really excited that you opened with that. And also, I feel like our work is done here. Like that opener, like what else? What else we need to do now? So yeah, I'm here with Jim Stewartson and High Fidelity. And somebody asked me a little while ago, it's been incredible how loyal you guys have been and how long you've been doing this, considering you make no money doing it. And I was thinking about most of the podcasts that make a lot of money are ops, quite frankly. Like, I'm always watching first I don't follow Tim Pool, I don't follow Benny Johnson, but they show up in my feed when I'm on Twitter, which is not very often. And we know that they were paid obscene amounts of money through cutouts that, operated in conjunction with, Russian intelligence. So, yeah, so we do it for all the right reasons. And a big apology. Last week, I was on a ferry heading to the Byline Festival. I didn't have any Wi-Fi and I wasn't able to alert people that we weren't going to be airing until tonight. But I'm glad to see all our friends with us. Thank you for your friendship and your viewership. And yeah, man, I mean, Jim, why don't you kick us off? Just, I don't even know if I want to listen to this shit right now, but okay, I'll put my punk rock armor on and just ugh, ugh. These fucking people,
Well,
like
I
I
mean,
hate them all. I really do.
it's
Ugh,
all gross.
ugh,
Yes, it's all. I mean, you,
ugh,
you,
ugh.
okay, okay. It is fascinating that Tim
Yeah,
Pool and Benny Johnson and Alex Jones and Mike Flynn and a bunch of these people are jumping into the we want the Epstein files. And
yeah,
it's the reasons are not what people think. That these people would be
right,
perfectly happy to yabba dabba do themselves right past the fucking Epstein files. Um, but there
right.
is a
Yeah,
con-
but that
a
too.
conspiracy of sorts between
Yeah,
people who want to, if not like straight out coup Donald Trump, want to
yeah,
fuck him up. And those
yeah,
people are uh, include the Russians. The Russians
yeah,
are in a weird situation with Trump. They I've been following them closely and had tip Julia Davis always. They're in this weird because they were worried that Trump was going to put all these sanctions on them, and then it turned out it was like, well, you get 50 days to try and take over Ukraine, but I'm going to send him these patriots, and so he kind of left him, So Putin is pissed, and all of his people are going balls out. And for people who've been watching us for a long time, I've been talking about how the Russians and QAnon and these people are all the same, that they're driven
yeah.
from the same source. And sure enough, the Russians, now that they're pissed off at Trump, say out loud, QAnon is no longer with you, Donald Trump. And showed up. Mike
Wow,
Flynn goes,
wow.
I've been thinking, Donald Trump, you're not really going after the pedophiles now, are you? And so you've got this very fascinating thing where all the MAGAs are in this suspended animation because one of their cult leader over here is obviously a pedophile who's
Yeah,
covered up for the Epstein files.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
but he
yeah.
also generates all of their political power. And then you have this other guy over
Right.
here who's paying half their bills and has been feeding them with Russian propaganda for 10 fucking years about how Hillary is the pedo and all of this. And now, all of a sudden, Donald Trump and the Russians, there's daylight there. It is a very strange and dangerous power dynamic. I wrote an
Yeah,
article yesterday about how you can compare a scenario like this, and I don't mean to be grim, but that is our way to Jonestown.
yeah,
If people, and I won't get gory, but the reason that the mass suicide, homicide happened of 900 people is because the hermetically sealed information bubble around Jones was starting to burst because he was degenerating, because he started to become paranoid and uber narcissistic and started to kind of go nuts. And this Congressman Leo Ryan came in to visit. And it was that everybody was like, oh, wait, there's an outside world. I remember that. And they started to one by one want to leave. And that is when Jim Jones decided, well, I'm going to show you who's boss. And sort of had them do a something that he had them practice before. And all of this happened. So you've got what I called a dangerous opportunity right now, because Donald Trump is in fact degenerating. He's decompensating. This is not me making shit up. And what is also happening is that millions of his followers are, for the very first time in a long time, having actual doubts, and not just because of what they know themselves, but because of what these people are telling them. Bannon and Charlie Kirk and all of these people are starting to play this middle ground. In the meantime, you got Elon Musk over here, right? Who's the one responsible for Donald Trump? Who's like searching on Grok in public about all the Jeffrey Epstein shit and how it connects to Donald Trump. And remember that influence, the influence of his social media monster, is, at least in my view, something that was decisive in the election. So when Elon Musk turns the dial, that's a very significant thing, and his approval is already in the shitter. So it is.
Pen and paper.
Anyway, so that is my initial TED talk on the current state of things.
Amazing. So many things I want to discuss with you guys. One is that I do recommend anybody just catching up, new viewers, people new to the work that we do. Highly recommend you run out and get American Compromat by Craig Unger. A third of his book deals with these connections, deals with Jeffrey Epstein and Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell, her father, Robert Maxwell, is that right? And so I totally recommend it because the historic knowledge is really, really important. There are just people, there are people now just looking at some of the previous court documents that were filed and, about one in particular, the Jane Doe document. There are people who are just starting to kind of become aware. So, if you are interested, get up to speed. There are so many creepy, horrific connections with Epstein's partner, Les Wexner, and
can I mention something?
And I think
I just wanted to mention something about because you were mentioning Maxwell. I think it relates to what we're seeing today in an interesting way. Robert Maxwell was partnered with the company that made a database. It was called Promise Software. And it was a database that you put in your company, and you give it all the information about your company, and it would tell you things about it. It turned out that Robert Maxwell was selling a software that had a backdoor to intelligence companies, to the intelligence agencies of other countries. Which, by the way, if any of this sounds familiar, if you've heard of something called Palantir, it was a very similar pitch to all of these companies and to all of these foreign governments that we have this database that's going to consolidate all of the information about all of these people without telling them that it had a backdoor to intelligence services. Apologies for that, but I thought
No. Thank you for that. One thing I wanted to say is I think what often gets forgotten in stories like this, where there's so much disgusting, salacious intrigue, etc., um, is that all these young women were harmed by this. And most of it was known. Epstein got the equivalent of a slap on his wrist when they knew what a creep he was and how dangerous he was, and all the people that were paying him millions and millions of dollars for tax advice, like Peter Thiel, etc. So I just want to remind people of that, because again, just even in the way it's talked about, it's like this was for decades and hurt so many young women. And Trump is on record in New York Magazine talking about how he loved hanging out with Epstein, and how so many of the women were so young. I forget the exact quote right now, but it was basically boasting about these young beautiful women. And he left a history of walking into the dressing rooms of these pageant girls when they were 15, a history of this stuff. So if MAGA is starting to wake up, if there is a little bit of a window opening, I think they really need to look much closer at this person. And I think the people who have MAGA in their lives, this is a part where when people wake up, they do feel a lot of shame. So if you can you know be a bit kind, that could go a long way. Jim, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein broke up in around 2004 over a real estate deal. And what did Donald Trump do around then? Bought Teen Miss USA. Who the fuck does that? I'm sorry if you if you're that fucking guy and you buy Miss Teen USA, there's a fucking problem. Not to mention if you're showing up in the dressing room doing that shit. It's
Yeah,
not. It doesn't.
yeah,
You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to figure out what's in the Epstein files or any of that shit. Look at him.
yeah,
Listen to what he says about his own fucking
yeah,
daughter. He's a disgusting, depraved,
yeah,
sadistic pig. It's not complicated at all. But what's fascinating about this is the I called it earlier today the largest experiment in cognitive dissonance of all
right.
time. What's cognitive dissonance, right?
Yeah.
It's holding two contradictory thoughts in your head at the same time. And the two contradictory thoughts are Donald Trump is going after the cabal of deep state pedophiles who happen to be Democrats, and they're going to get executed. They all think that. They've been thinking that for 10 years. It's been buried in their fucking head. And now you have all these people, including people that they, have been told are prophets of the Donald Trump ideology, that actually at the same time, Donald Trump is protecting a cabal of pedophiles. And that having those two things in your head at the same time is called cognitive dissonance, and it causes mental pain. What people have to do in those situations is resolve it one way or the other. And so the scary part here is, and this is where everybody can come in, and this is hard for people to grasp. Sometimes I get it, but this is the time when people have that cognitive dissonance. They're in like a superposition. They're like a Schrodinger's brain. They're in both places. Is he a pedo? Is he not a pedo? What is it? And it's stressful. And so when they have people in the normie world, right, where there's a consistent reality, and they may not like the reality. There's a reality where he's a pedo, but all these people that I used to care about are still over here, and they haven't rejected me as a human being. They don't like me, my politics anymore, but they have not rejected me as a human being. Like, it makes all the difference. And the more people there are that manage to retain that human connection with people who are having these spells of cognitive dissonance, the more opportunities we have to catch them before they go the other way, because the other way is worse. Right? We saw something like this on January 6th. Right? We saw another example of this. What happened? Right? We didn't address it. We didn't address it at all. Biden ignored it. And so what happened is all those people went back to him. They just went right back.
Right.
Not only did they go back, they got worse because they went to Telegram and they went to all these fucking hellholes to go get their fix because we buried them. So all I'm saying is, we have another opportunity like that. This time, we're not in power, but it's probably even more important.
Hi-Fi, you want to jump in?
I would just like to point out something that happened today that I think people need to know about, and that is that Mark Zuckerberg, Sarah Sandberg, Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, and a couple more Facebook executives once again today escaped accountability for their manipulation of global populations, leading to violence and death. And they're just going to pay some money, and the whole thing's going to be swept under the rug, because that's how we do things in a capitalist society. So that's all.
Did you see how quickly they settled? I found that to be fascinating. So I want to brief you guys at some point during the hour on some of the discussion topics at Byline Festival this weekend. It was very, 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 very cool. Got to hang out with Carol Cadwalader and got to hang out with Christopher Steele, and it was just a Catherine Stewart, who's been on our show. It was just an incredible. But one of the things that Carol talked about was tech sovereignty. Like, if I were the leader of a country and my country was still democratic, I would not be fucking around with Facebook anymore. I would make sure that they were either up to standards that could protect my population. Again, if I were the leader and I had citizens to protect, just like we would protect their air, their water, that social media space, which has been used to radicalize people over and over and over again, and alter elections, and target people's minds and spread disinformation, blah blah blah, that just wouldn't be happening. And the idea of tech sovereignty, as Carol explained it, was governments, again, I'm talking about those that are still the last of the remaining democracies, developing their own tools, their own social media platforms, their own means of communications. And I think, quite frankly, with Facebook being as big as it is, no one wants to take it on. No one wants to deal with that. But, again, are we going to have any democracies left if Facebook and other platforms like that are allowed to continue the way they've been continuing? I really don't know. But, settling for money just so they can go on and continue to allow their platforms to be used by foreign adversaries to hack people's minds. I just, it's not acceptable. And I'm going to be working on a piece this weekend with an interview with Christopher Steele. I'm sure everybody knows who he is. But bottom line is, he said that without the Russians, Trump would have won in 2016. The number of votes, too few in too few states where spies had been sent, states that more than likely had their data shared with them by Paul Manafort, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm looking forward to bringing that to you, because these are things that we know from the work that we do. But having somebody who worked in British military intelligence and worked the Russia desk, and then of course was hired to put together the notes on Trump, which became the Steele dossier, that's very credible stuff. So Anyway, guys, so much to talk about, so many exciting things to talk about, but in no small part, working on this show with you guys and interviewing as many people as we have prepared me pretty well for a weekend of some really important and invigorating conversations around this stuff. So,
I gotta bring up something that's been bothering me, and I don't think anybody's been pointing it out. I certainly haven't heard anything about it in the media, right? Um, and that would be the constant inconsistencies in these stories that we get from our government. You know, first the DOJ says to us, the cameras on Epstein's cell block were broken. Uh, in the official investigation, it says they were streaming. Then we get this video release, but then we find out it's the outside, but then there's time missing. So there's more inconsistencies. Generally, when you see a level of inconsistency to this level, you're looking at some sort of weird fucking psychological operation being run. And I think we can all acknowledge that now.
Jim.
You're muted, Boomer.
It's not even a psyop. It's just fucking dumb, lying, gaslighting. Like they leaked a memo without anybody's name on it because they're fucking terrified. They knew that the consequences were going to be like atrocious. I mean, the whole thing is just comical. Like, remember, like let's just stepping back. Jeffrey Epstein was raping kids in Florida while she was the top cop for 8 fucking years. Right? he was getting away with it for 8 years on her watch. Until all of a sudden Bill Barr comes out of nowhere. Dun, 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 I'm the White Knight. I'm going to save America from Jeffrey Epstein. And then he's dead. Oh, no. What happened, Bill Barr? Jeez, thanks for coming in and saving the day. I mean, the whole thing is pathetic and atrocious. And the idea that anybody puts any credence in anything these people have to say is fucking mind-blowing. But I do think that what the betrayal that they feel is different. And the reason is different is because after all this time, after all the promises, after all the Q drops and the Pizzagate videos and the Hillary memes and all of this and that, you have the power. You have the power, Donald Trump. You're the White Knight who's going to come save America from the pedos. And what do? You give us this weird fucking memo in Politica or Axios? What the fuck is that? What the fuck? It was just like the whole thing, you know. Again, I think if there is one tiny little shred of light, is that they're terrible in all of this. They're really bad at this. Like, I think here's the thing. I think if they had the ability to actually cover up for any of this shit, they would do it, right? But they had to get rid of something in that video because otherwise they just re-release it, right? They had to get rid of something, and they're just too dumb, fucking stupid to take the Adobe Premiere like edit date out of it. You just open it in a text file. It tells you right there who the fuck made it, what time, how many files there were. They edited some from this one and brought over to this one and told them the whole fucking story about how somebody just made it up. So I think the thing that people are just they're able to deal with almost any form of reality distortion, but I think when they're told by their own guy that you're stupid people, because that's what he said yesterday. He said they're stupid people. He said they're weaklings,
Yeah.
and he said they're his past supporters. And I think, and we talked about this. We should watch a clip. But what we are watching is a narcissistic collapse, and we can talk.
So on that note, that's important, Jim, and I've read your work on that. Thank you so much for that. Uh Years ago, I think 2019, I wrote a short story called The Ola Jerks, where I sort of did kind of like a short story spoof on a lot of what we're talking about. And in this writing of it, the character that would have been, modeled on Trump had a chip of unknown origin in his brain that had been placed there by the Kremlin. And when it was removed, it wasn't removed elegantly. The technology they used was pretty rudimentary. So the Trump character has this really caved in head, and he looks really grotesque, and he's not allowed to do any tanning, and he's not able to wear his wig, and no lawyer will defend him in court because he's doesn't pay his lawyers. They know him to be a chiseler. Anyway, in my satire, his whole cult turned away from him because he had become such a grotesque, right? Well, quite he is decomposing in front of our very eyes. Now I'm trying to get the diagnosis from the White House, and it says something about a benign vein disease. But Jim, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you see? Because I'm telling you, unless he can keep up the mythology of the strong, fantastic in a suit and in good lighting, etc. Once they see him for, you know, uh, who he is, and also adding a bit of decay to it, it's not going to go well for him. I know that sounds maybe a little trivial, but I don't think it is. I think this is reality TV fascism, and he has to play the part. And if he's not looking the part, it's not going to go well.
God damn it! Sorry. The White House is the one that volunteered that. They're the ones that said today, out of the blue, oh, he's got varicose veins. That's basically what, they said he has. No, no. If anybody's seen the pictures of that motherfucker's ankles, like compared to the dude next to him, they're like, I mean, 4 times bigger. Like, it's fucking disgusting. And this is not like balloon on weird, like this is just physical stuff. And like he's got this huge bruise on his hand, which is clearly from an IV. And so, go to your, your local search bot or AI or whatever you want, and, put that combination of things in. It's not good. None of it's good. It's heart disease, first of all. Without, like, when you get stuff like when your body can't circulate all the junk in your body, why is that? It's because your heart's not working, because you're big, fat, Big Mac eating motherfucker. Also, sorry. I know. But he's also mentally completely degenerating. Like, dude can't remember when he is, where he is, what anything around him is going on. The decline is very serious. So when you combine what we know about this guy, which is that he has narcissistic personality disorder, psychopath, he's got all of these risk factors, and then you add pressure to him like a diamond, like fucking Jeffrey Epstein's coming over here, Putin's coming over here, and everybody's coming for Donald Trump. You get somebody who does things like cast off their most loyal friends and followers. That's what people in narcissistic collapse do, because they are so paranoid of a wound to their incredibly sensitive, sad ego that they explode at anyone and make it all everybody else's fault before it could possibly be theirs. And so he's just telling all of his followers, like, fuck you. It doesn't matter to me anymore. You don't matter to me. What matters to me more than you is my personal ego right now, which is hurting. I'm hurting. Can you hear me? And that weakness it may end up being a pretty fatal mistake. You know, whether we mean literally fatal or just, you know, politically fatal. But you know, so here's one last thing I'll say about sort of the place we're in. Trump, after giving Putin 2 weeks, like 3 times, gave Putin another 50 days to do whatever fucking damage he's intending to do. You know, like 50 days from now, I don't know what shape this dude's going to be in. And Putin and his people are all up. They're like ready for World War III and shit. So there's going to be an interesting, you know, somewhere a couple months from now, you know, hold on to your hats, because I don't know where this guy's brains are going to be. And, you know, he's either going to have to stand up to Putin, or he's going to have to allow Putin to roll over Europe. Those are his only 2 choices. And I think he's just now realizing those are actually his only 2 choices. And, you know, he's trying to basically buy time for himself, you know, knowing that one way or the other, he's probably going to be facing some kind of major war.
I wrote months ago that the move that he should make is to actually totally turn on Putin. Because I mean,
Wouldn't
you
that
know,
be amazing?
that would be the baller
But he
move.
can't.
Go all in and go all in on supporting Ukraine and crush Putin.
He can't,
So
because of what's happening right now. Every single one of these people that are going after him, like it's not the Epstein. It's not the Epstein as much the Russia and the Iran thing. Remember the 3 things that he's done.
Oh yeah.
He did the Iran thing.
Yeah.
He cozied up to Netanyahu.
Didn't like that.
They don't like that shit.
Yeah.
And then this whole Epstein thing. You know, there's a lot of things. And by the way, and this is heartening to me, even his own base doesn't like what ICE is doing. They really don't. Like his approval on immigration, which is the only thing that, you know, he sort of actually doing, is in the shitter. Because everybody's realizing, wait, these aren't actually criminals. Like if you could have picked up the criminals, you would have. You're just going to fucking 7-Eleven and getting the guy behind the counter that I like. Like, what the fuck? That's all it is. Anyway, sorry, I rambled.
Don't give me hope for humanity, because you know, dictators don't really care. Dictators don't really care what people like. Yes, they're narcissists, etc. But ultimately, you know, he won't lose any sleep if people don't like what they're doing. That's cruel. One thing I will say, just for the record, is that very gross veins may be benign, but Trump is not benign. And as Jim said, you know, cornered rat, not a good thing.
I said he has.
So anyway,
he has varicose brains.
Oh my God. All right, hold on a second.
Very gross veins and varicose brains.
Hold
Well,
on. Hold
well
on.
done, Jim.
Hold on. I need to issue a challenge if we have any viewers down in Florida. Um, I would really like someone to change the alligator Alcatraz signs to alligator Auschwitz and make sure that gets seen. So if anybody in
Mm.
Florida is feeling
That
spicy,
well, you very careful because all the sheriffs down there said they'd kill you. They
oh yeah,
literally have they
Oh,
literally have press conferences where they're like, "If we'll kill you, we will kill you."
mm.
And, like there are people in comments who've seen this shit. It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
you dare
And the thing
people
is
come
they
into my
can.
county and we'll kill you. It's like, what the fuck, bro? What is happening? Why is it 1830 or whatever? Like, what the fuck? Anyway, sorry.
So,
Do we have a
a
bunch of
couple more
clips,
notes
don't
from me,
we?
but
oh yeah, we should
yeah,
play a clip.
we're gonna show some clips. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Oh
whoa, whoa! Hi-Fi, you have to allow me to intro it. You
Yeah.
cannot keep bum
no, I
rushing
just like
like
throwing
that.
it at people.
Uh,
Anyway, go ahead.
be, before we do the clips, I want to say that Zarina Zabrisky's film Herson Human Safari, which Radpod and Betty friends helped support. That she's in DC. She's meeting with Congress people and senators, etc. So this is some baller stuff, and I'm so incredibly proud of her. And also getting incredible reviews. You can go to hersonhumansafari.com. That's KHERSON. And not only can you watch the trailer and I believe still see the film for a short time if you want to screen the documentary, but the donations that have been coming in, there's donation buttons where you can help the people of Kherson in real time. It's been so incredible that one of the animal rescue groups was able to actually move and get us into a safer place for all the rescue work that they're doing. So I'm just saying there's some really beautiful good news and there are so many good people. And that's what I want to remind everybody about when we talk about this stuff is the goodness of people. Many of you know that Carol Cadwalader had a slap suit against her that was incredibly costly. She won the suit, lost on appeal, but 30,000 people stepped up to support her. So she was able to get through it. And I just bring that up because we talk about these evil people a lot, but there's just so much incredible goodness out there. Now, Hi-Fi got us a great guest this week, Dr. Ben Lockwood. He's an ecologist and he's very involved in climate justice issues. And we have this wonderful interview with him, but I just bring it up because all the things we talk about tie together with all of this. The billionaires involved in fossil fuel have been spending billions of dollars to mess with everybody's understanding of global warming. And so we've had this long delay of actually getting anything done. But I think people are understanding it when these storms happen that are once every 1,000 years and they're happening, every 5 days now. So it's just really important to know that all of this ties together. All the people that we talk about know that climate change is real. And as we've said many times, they're going to think that they're going to be in their bunker as well. The rest of us have to suffer. And I think that's kind of their goal with this sort of new feudalism that they're attempting. But that's why we expose it. And now, with that, let's see the first one or two clips of Ben because we're running behind.
Immediately, it puts us in a reduced capacity to understand the changes that are going on to our climate. And it's part of a continued attack from the Trump administration on our scientific institutions. They're reducing the budgets at NASA, they're discrediting scientists at NASA, they're slashing budgets at the National Science Foundation, at the National Institute of Health, at the USDA, pretty much any site of infrastructure, scientific infrastructure is under attack from the Trump administration right now as part of their broader sort of anti-intellectual campaign that sort of underpins, I guess, the entire GOP platform at this moment. Um, It's said it's going to set us back. It's hard to even estimate how far it could set us back in terms of our scientific ability in this country to monitor these things, and it'll have economic impacts, it'll have health impacts. It's hard to overstate the seriousness of it. And with respect to the NASA specifically, I personally rely on some of that satellite data to do some of my own research. So it's an impacts that we're going to see. It could degrade our ability to model and forecast future things as far as climate or what's going on in our terrestrial ecosystems. There's a whole host of things, of negative consequences to this.
Well, the reason I wanted to talk to you, Ben, was, we had just the absolute horror, the catastrophe, the destruction, the death in Texas. But we also experienced four 1 in 1,000 year storms across the United States. And it just seems like hurricanes are getting stronger, these disasters are getting worse, and yet we still hear people saying climate change isn't real. How would you talk to those people?
Yeah, well, I'm just to address sort of those types of statistics where you see like the catastrophe in Kerr County in Texas was I think a 1 in 1,000 year event. Um, and those sorts of events, climate change is just making those types of events more common. They're more likely to happen, and when they happen, they're more likely to be more severe than they have been in the past. And speaking to that specific event, a warming climate, climate with more energy or more temperature, higher temperatures, allows more water vapor to be absorbed into the atmosphere. It makes storms more intense. They can hold more rainfall and they can drop more rainfall in shorter periods of time. And, when sea surface temperatures like in the Gulf are higher than normal, which, they have been historically recently, the air that gets pushed over that, which what happened in Texas is that, yeah, you saw the slower moving air pushing over the Gulf in Texas. The sea surface temperatures were warmer, the atmosphere was warmer, more water vapor gets pulled up into the atmosphere, and then it gets dumped into an area that was already prone to these sort of flash floods. Denying it, isn't going to change the reality of these situations. And, when you're seeing 1 in 1,000, 1 in 5,000 year events happening every 5 to 10 years, the math, yeah, what do you do? How do you reconcile that? You can't. Not that the people denying it are really interested in a coherent argument, but I think more and more people are recognizing the reality.
Thank you, High Five. Yeah, recognize the reality.
They have to.
Jackie Singh did a little, yeah, they
I
have
mean,
to, right? Jackie Singh did a little bit of recognizing the reality when she showed a close up of, I believe it was Robert Kennedy Jr.'s teeth.
the
Oh, that was so nasty. So nasty.
okay. Yeah.
Because because of the anti-science and
Alan
anti-fluoride and
Walker is going
anti-vaccine.
to take fluoride out of water and make everybody's teeth fucking rot. Like Jesus Christ, it's so dumb. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
off the top. But there's a reason why the climate denier, uh, uh, you know, the climate deniers and Christians are, almost the same, right? Um,
Yeah.
because they're both ideologies that say that you don't need to worry about the future, right? Fuck it,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're just you're you libs are just making stuff up. Drill, baby, drill, right? Is an
Yeah.
article of
Right.
faith. It is completely counter to all information that science and technology has ever given us. But it is not a coincidence that the people that promote that have been promoting apocalyptic Christianity for a very long time, for example, are the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
This is
I
not
was just
a
gonna
this is
say,
not
yeah,
a
yeah,
coincidence in any way. Just bear with me briefly. If you got the books, Left Behind, where none of this shit matters. You just have to be a good boy, like your creepy pastor tells you. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind when the earth it basically burns up in a fire, right? So when people hear about, oh, the earth's going to burn up in a fire, they're like, yeah, that's when I get to go up with mom and dad because I'm a good boy. Because I'm a good boy. I get
yeah,
to go up with mom and dad. So that your woke bullshit doesn't matter to me. They literally funded a mind virus, right? And it's not like evangelical Christianity has been around for a long time, but this particular strain of it, where they have kids'
yeah,
books and where they're just
yeah,
fucking indoctrinating kids specifically into this apocalyptic, the future doesn't fucking matter worldview, is not a coincidence that all of those people were coke the
right,
part like in the coke industries, and all these fucking assholes are all connected up together because at the end of the
yeah,
day
yeah,
their ideology, their religion conveniently makes them bajillions of dollars, and they're rich enough where it doesn't matter.
yeah.
They're just going to be on their whatever fucking island they bought to, so they don't give a shit if the poors are dying in wildfires. Thank
Pretty
you.
much. Again, that's why we needed protection from these billionaires. One thing I was going to say is that what Ann Nelson explained to me a long time ago. She of course wrote Shadow Network, which exposed all these dark money ties between the Christian nationalist, fossil fuel funders, etc. Was that the Dominionists just think that they should have dominion over the earth? So, that's just their thing. They get the full dominion over the earth, so they don't really care. But Jim brought up Koch Industries, and at Betty Dangerous Substack, my Substack, in one of my American Monster series, I did a really deep dive on the Koch brothers and Fred Koch. And the thing that I remember most from that, aside from the father doing business with Hitler and doing business for Stalin, and a lot of that going on, was the fact that they knew they knew what was happening with climate change in relation to the man-made acceleration very, very early on. And they, along with like the Robert Mercers of the world, are the ones who spent billions of dollars interfering with people's understanding of it. And people like Mike Johnson are kind of like emissaries of that. Like, I just will never forget when I found this old videotape from Mike Johnson doing an interview with the person who runs Ark Encounter, this make believe Noah's Ark, kind of exhibit in Kentucky. It's like a destination place that people go to where you see, revisionist history, and people are frolicking with dinosaurs. And it's just they, very well funded, very well organized, and cynically, these people don't believe it, but it's what they preach because, as Jim just noted, it's good for their bottom line. And, maybe with everything that we're sort of describing on this show, maybe there's an opportunity for some of this to be explained to people as they come out of their reality TV fascism comas. Because again, they're not going to like this stuff. As Jim noted, they don't like seeing people taken off the streets, and they're probably not going to like the reality that Russia wasn't a hoax. And as Jim also noted, that Trump is heavily involved and linked to people who are heavily involved and linked to human trafficking. So maybe there's an opportunity to somehow gum up the works. I still don't know what it looks like because we have Elon Musk over here doing his thing, and then JD Vance, of course, being a Peter Thiel replicant. But, you know, Girl's got a dream.
Let me, there is a
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
solid stuff. Solid stuff. I like that. Nine,
Yes,
nine, nine.
yes. Well done.
The PayPal mafia are going all in on this motherfucker, which is fascinating because at the same time they've infiltrated everything and they've got all of our data
I know.
and so there's a lot of you know defensive work that we're going to need to do in the coming years to retake a lot of territory.
Yeah.
Do we have more clips?
Right.
Because we're
Yeah. We're almost out of time. We have two more clips. I don't think that they are terribly long, so let's see them. And all I wanted to say is, when things get weird, the weird turn pro. And I think we're going to see a lot of weird turning pro right now. So good.
It shows is that these types of disasters are in many ways not really natural disasters. I mean, they are in the sense that, floods occurred. Flooding occurs whether humans are around or not, but the damage that occurs because of a flooding, the loss of human life, the degree of catastrophe is as much a political equation. There's political implications, economic implications, as well as the physical things that contribute to it. On top of the fact that climate change is an anthropogenic factor as well. So I don't think you can separate the political choices from the physical conditions that produce the catastrophe. Taking an individualistic approach to this is probably not going to have an impact that we need it to have. And in fact, many would claim that the idea of an individual carbon footprint itself is a product of greenwashing, fossil fuel sort of misinformation. The fact that Elon Musk can hop on a private jet and emit more fossil fuels than in a week, than a family would in its entire lifetime kind of negates, whatever you could do on an individual level. So I think we need collective action. I think we need organizing. I think the issue is capitalism. I don't think you can sustainably consume your way out of a problem that capitalism created. So I personally think we have to overcome this economic system that structurally reinforces these problems of climate change and creates these problems of climate change.
He said you didn't do the last clip that I had mentioned, right? You didn't look at the last one. Just please watch the show. There's only been 179 views of that episode, and it's important stuff. So please watch it. If you appreciate what we do, share it. He goes into depth on the energy being used by Elon Musk's Grok in Tennessee and the water and all that it takes and how it's in an area of where it's not an affluent area and they always go into areas where people don't have a lot of defenses or a lot of say. So just have a listen, and thanks for the get, High Fidelity. And I think our hour is almost up. Is there anything that we didn't cover or that I forgot to mention?
I did want to. I mean, we buried the lead on what Ben said there a little bit, which is fuck capitalism, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
that's
yeah, I'm
I'm just saying. Look, I have benefited from capitalism, mostly been fucked over by capitalism. Um, but we are at a point in human history where those sorts of large questions really are going to have to come into being. Are we
yeah.
able to keep our humanity and keep this system that has, and let's be real, created people like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Donald Trump who use
Yeah.
this thing that's supposed to be a measure of quantity, like here's how much flour you're giving me, and so it's just supposed to be a quantity of transfer, right? But instead it turns into power. It becomes a synonymous with power. And when you don't have boundaries set up right, and you allow people who are psychologically damaged to enter into a system that doesn't have the right boundaries, it's still a question. I think we're seeing right now whether capitalism and freedom and are ultimately compatible, or is capitalism a function of a growing humanity that we need to stop getting addicted to so much. I think those are
Well, all I know
really the
is that
questions.
there was a point in time when we did better with rule of law before the media coup and the judicial coup. There were some guardrails, there were regulations. We just stopped enforcing any laws, and we also any laws that would actually put guardrails on capitalism, and a lot of that was the same people we just talked about, the Robert Mercers and the Koch brothers, who spent all that money to remove anything that got in the way of unfettered capitalism. And that's, I'd say, how we ended up here. Just like with communism, where we've never actually seen what a communist state would look like because they became totalitarian right away. I don't think we've seen anything recently in many, many decades on what capitalism
Well,
could
let's be
be
fair.
if it actually.
Let's be fair. The neoliberal, sort of democratic side of things has been just as fucking guilty, of abusing the capitalist system as the Republican.
Well, they took the thing is, with Citizens United and without any reforms on campaign finance, what was the incentive? They were all jockeying for the same money.
No,
So
I understand.
I think it's been a fig leaf for quite some time, but I think now we are here on the precipice. So
Can I just
looking down, going,
say something? It's
yes,
funny
high
that you guys
fidelity.
are arguing about red versus blue, because really
I'm not.
the fight, the problem, as it has always been, is a class war. It is capital versus labor. And if you're not in the upper millionaire / billionaire club, you're not one of them kids. Sorry. You're one of the labor class. And we are being exploited and we are being killed. Like, we just saw almost 200 Texans killed because class war bullshit, red versus blue. No, it's capital versus labor, and they're killing us. And, on that note, I want to go out on a protest song because my friend Ben Gage wrote one, and he was a little nervous about it. And I said, fuck it, I'm putting it up, man. So, Ben Gage, everyone.
If 100 days is not enough to see the writing on the wall, we should all go to the doctor, have a check our broken eyeballs. If they keep on cutting off our toes, that's no innocent mistake. It's intention, and it'll keep happening far past 100 days. Well, there's a sorry state of affairs hanging round Capitol Hill. They don't care much for the little folk, and I doubt they ever will. They got us fighting with our brothers. It's the only show that pays. Is it how you wanna spend your next 100 days? 100 days is not enough to know the future crystal clear, But there's a vague concept of what's been going sour around here. If you're turning a blind eye when the people start to bite, you'll find the cost of silence, it's rising overnight. Well, there's two sides to a coin, and we're down to our last few. He's spinning them on hats, an American thing to do. Reminiscent of red armbands, lamb's blood up on doorways. Is it how you want to spend your next 100 days? Well, you might call me crazy, comparing bicycles to fish. How's an angry god or a fascist come even kinda close to this? Well, I hate to be the one that tells you, but it's a spark what starts a blaze. And I hope we aren't all burning in another 100 days. 100 days is not enough to know the future crystal clear, but there's a vague concept of what's been going sour around here. If you're turning a blind eye when the people start to bite, you'll find the cost of silence, well, it's rising overnight. 100 days is not enough to see the writing on the wall. Then we should all go to the doctor, have her check our broken eyeball.